Introduce you to the rest of the bow balancing team. First is Todd Reich from Dead Center Archery Products. Todd. And Josh Rapp. Josh has helped me before in DVD work, and he also helps at Dead Center Archery Products. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry.
All right. Todd, tell us a little bit about your machining business.
Well, first, Larry, I'd like to thank you for having me here.
Oh, certainly.
I appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure working with you guys.
It's a pleasure to be here. The machine shop business is owned by me and another gentleman. His name's John Eisenhart. We started the machine shop we opened the doors in 2001. And in 2007, I started Dead Center Archery Products. And we make all the parts in the machine shop. I've always had a passion for archery, and I owned the machine shop, and it was just a vision of mine to create and design and make some of my own products. I had a lot of friends that shot on the tournament trail, the IBO, the ASA stuff. They would always come to me and they would want that little niche over somebody else. They would have this little idea they wanted to do or something, and with me owning the machine shop, I would do that for them. And then finally they got after me about, hey, why don't you come along to some of these shoots? Because I didn't shoot the tournament end of it. I was the bow hunter and the 3D throughout the summertime before, hunting season, and I went along and looked at some of this and thought, I've always had a passion of being a designer and a builder, and that was part of my passion to start my own machining business. I can make things happen like that, so we started making some prototypes, and here we are today, Larry. We have a business that just seems to keep growing and growing and growing.
Well, it sounds like you have good ears. You're listening to the shooters out there.
I do all the IBO circuit shoots, some of the ASA, some of the NFAA, and I got a lot of good guys shooting my product now, and I got a lot of customer feedback and listen to what customers want and what change they have, and that's how we came up with the balancer, Larry. I know that that's part of our program.
That's the next question. Tell me about the balancer.
The balancer was just when you are designing things and thinking things, my mind works best in the evenings when I'm relaxing. And I just came up with this idea to make this tool for the average archer out there to have, and the pro shop to have, that's going to be able to balance their bow out and get it left to right, front to back, and get them in a good starting position to get their bow balanced.
Yeah. We've got one right here. It's been in all the scenes so far. And what people may not realize is this is free floating here. And we can see that the bow is balanced as we speak. And great tool, great tool. Josh, how long have you been shooting archery?
30 years.
Okay, and of course you're only 31, right?
Wish.
Yeah, we all wish that. When did you get your first stabilizer?
Probably 1986.
Okay. What about your shooting? What style have you been shooting?
Usually indoor I've been shooting a bow hunter setup. Outdoor I like to shoot opener unlimited setup.
Well, Todd, tell me, how long have you been shooting archery?
I've been shooting archery for about 25 years. I started out shooting just basically hunting and shooting our local 3D shoots, and got into some tournament shooting and some target archery. And of course, when we started Dead Center Archery, doing the shows and the shoots and all that, it's hard for me to participate in both. But that was my beginning in the sport of archery, and I've always had a very big passion of mine, yes.
Well, I sure appreciate working with you guys. And when I first learned about the product, well, you told me about the Dead Center Archery Products. And so I ended up going over the mountain, one county north, we're neighbors, and saw the product, realized how good it really is. And so we're working together as a team now to present some balancing techniques, steps to get your bow balanced better. And now let's get down to business and start balancing bows. So how do we balance a bow? What do we use? Well, we put weights on the ends of rods like this. And the law of motion that's in play here, the physics involved, is very simple. An object at rest tends to stay at rest unless acted upon by a force. So a weight, even a small weight, on the end of a rod like this 10-inch rod, tends to stay at rest unless acted upon by a force. And in our bow, we're primarily concerned about torque. And so I have a weight at the end of a 10-inch rod, and it doesn't resist torque to any great amount. But if you put that same weight on the end of a 30-inch rod and try to torque it, it's extremely difficult. In fact, on a rod like this that's 3 times as long as the short one, this same weight resists being moved 9 times as much. So at work here in torque is the fact that we take this distance and square it in order to compute the moment of inertia or moment of torque. All right, so distance is your ally here. The longer the bar, the more it's going to work for you. But that's not always an option with certain archery equipment. So I guess what we want to know now, Todd, how do you make these? What do you make them out of?
Well, Larry, what we do is the first thing we do is we get the carbon in. The carbon comes in and in various lengths of what we can order, and this is a pultruded carbon.
Okay, so that's pulled through a forming device.
Correct. This is linearly run fibers which makes it super strong. That way, Josh will show you how it is. That's a 5-foot piece there.
Yeah.
How strong that is. Then you have your other carbon that is carbon weaved. That is stronger. Like if you took a pair of pliers, you could hardly crush the carbon weave.
Yeah.
But the pultruded, you could crush that. The strength isn't here; it's in the length.
So this tube then has the lengthwise strength to make it super stiff.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So to my way of thinking then, when the bow handle tries to torque, if we had a flexible bar, that flexible bar would allow the bow handle to torque. All right, and the weight at the end wouldn't do you any good at resisting torque.
Correct.
But with the stiff rod, yeah, once again, that stiffness really...
We have experimented around with both styles of carbon, and this here just has worked the best because it keeps everything stable and stiff. Yeah, any kind of movement that you start developing out here, if it can flex, it just keeps growing and growing.
Oh,
as far
magnifies.
As magnifying, yes.
Until you have white caps in the bubble.
Yes.
Okay. Well, tell me a little bit about the end caps here that you manufacture at the CNC.
These are some different colored end caps that we have. They're machined out of 6061 aluminum. They're very lightweight. What we do is we cut the carbon to various lengths. We prep the outside. We use a 2-part epoxy to put the ends on. And then every stabilizer that we manufacture has a anti-vibration material inside of the tube. These are called outserts. We call them outserts, which they go on the outside of the carbon, which makes it much durable and stronger.
Okay.
The carbon weave, that has to be done through an insert, which is stuck down through the center, which is pressed in there and epoxied in there just like we would do.
Yeah.
And that is more susceptible to possibly cracking or,
Yeah, so you're covering the ends of the carbon fibers here, and that's adding to the resistance to bending that this shaft is so good at.
correct. A lot of people don't understand that. They say, well, your stabilizer vibrates or something, you know. A stabilizer vibrates, the shot is already
Gone.
executed and gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, stabilization is all about getting that bow to aim for you, hold for you, react after the shot is done, like you explained up through
Right.
up to here, you know. And so having a very good rigid solid setup is
Yeah.
one of the best things
Yeah,
that you can do.
and I've felt the difference. I know the difference and have for years. So now we've learned a little bit about the materials and the physics at work. Let's balance a bow. Okay, I have my target bow here, Todd, and I stripped the old stabilizers off that I had on here. I left the sight on and the arrow rest. So, Doctor, tame the beast.
It would be an honor to tame your bow, Larry.
Okay.
First thing we're going to do is we're going to clamp it into vise here. And we're going to check your bow for plumb. We're going to check it. The first important thing is to check it to see, set your bow to plumb. As you can see, that's pretty close right there off the bat.
Scope bubble's level.
Yep. And then we're
All right.
going to look at the scope bubble, and we're going to make sure that both of those coincide with each other.
Okay.
Because when you use the balancing tool, when we get to there, you're going to be using balance leveling off of your bubble on your
Okay.
sight.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that's
once we
good.
have that all looked at and figured, Larry, you had that really good. I believe you've done that a few times before.
Twice.
Okay. Now let's go on to, first thing we're going to look at is, going to ask you is, what lengths do you like? Do you like longer stabilizers? Do you like shorter stabilizers?
I've always had a fairly long stabilizer on the front, so always a lot more than 30. So 34, 35, 36, something like that. The counterbalance back rod I had on an 8-inch before.
Okay. Well, why don't the first thing we do, let's put a quick disconnect on the front here. This is a little,
Okay,
right.
so that's
yes, this
that's
is a
this
straight
guy,
model that
right?
we're going to use. This is a really nice little attachment here to use to case your bow, that you don't have to turn your stabilizer on and off all the time.
Yeah, the old
Little-
stabilizer I used was screw in, screw out every time.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is just a quick little attachment. We'll show you how it goes. We put that on there. And what I do a lot of times is I will level that up and get that level to your sight is. Okay. We'll tighten that down there. Now back there behind you, Larry, grab a 36-inch bar back there.
Okay.
Laying back there on the table right
All right, I'm taking that.
Okay.
That's the long one.
Okay.
Right.
What we'll do is we will put that on there. Do we have, where's the clamping rod for that? Do you have
I have
that?
right here.
Yes, attach that. to
Okay,
that.
so that's going to have to screw in there.
Okay.
Now,
All right.
this already has a weight on the end. Is that a problem? What's already
that'll
on there?
be a great starting point for us, Larry.
And how much is that?
That's about, with the bow jacks on the end protector, that's about 2 ounces
Total?
of weight on the end there, yes. Yep, that's about 2 ounces.
Okay. Yeah, I don't recall how much I had on the old one.
We can show here, we can show the quick disconnect, how that, just break that loose, pops right out of there to put in your case. Very nice,
Yep.
nice handy little bracket to have on there. Tighten that down like that. There you are. So now let's go on. Now you're talking about a back bar of like 8 inches.
Yeah.
With this long a bar on the front, I think I would recommend a 12-inch for you
Okay.
to go on the back to help to compensate more for the weight.
All right. Now I had an offset bar on that also.
So we're going to have to move that when we get
All right.
to that phase here. So we're talking about weights now. We have about 2 ounces on the front.
Yep, 2 ounces out here.
Do you like a heavier bow, or do you like a lighter bow? Or
I like it when the arrows go in the middle,
okay,
whatever
okay.
it takes.
Well, it's going to take a little bit of back weight to get this bow to come back here. So let's start out. There's some weights laying right there. Give me that end cap weight and one of the other ones. Okay. So let's
And
start
they're how
out
much?
with this here.
Yeah.
This is about 3, 6. The bolt about 6.5 ounces, something like that.
Okay.
So let's start out with that in the rear here, and we'll go from there. Now that's pretty much going to get us ready to go, to go into the balancer. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to attach this clamping bracket, which is made to attach around the handle in your grip area. It goes right around there, and you clamp it fast to the grip area, and I try and keep it as high in the grip as I can and tighten it up there
So
like that.
this will simulate the pressure from my bow hand.
Correct.
And I notice that the axis of rotation here is pretty much right at the pressure point between my bow hand and the grip.
That's the way it was designed. It was designed to simulate as close into your grip as what you would be holding it
Okay.
as.
And the creator of this device is who?
That would be me. Larry.
Okay.
Thank you
All right,
very
we just want to
much.
make sure that's clear.
A lot of thoughtfulness and a lot
Yeah.
of work in that thing to.
I'm anxious to get this in
get it-
the bow balancer and see
get
where
it
we
to
are.
work. Well, let's. That will be our next step then. Let's go to get
Okay.
it into the balancer, Larry.
Good.
Okay, Larry. Now that we've got your bow all done and ready to put in the balancer, let's see what it does.
Okay, I'm curious.
We'll see how close we are here. So we just sit that down there in them machined out pockets in there and get them bearings in there. The first thing that I do is you put this bracket onto the bow. And the first thing that I do is I sight down the center of this and look at the stabilizer and make sure that that's lined up down through there, just like that. So
Okay.
now, what we'll do is we'll lock this down here. That locks it from pivoting this way. We'll lock it down right here.
So it's
And
not,
we'll work on
not
your-
pivoting left and right.
Correct. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on your front to back weight. Okay, till we get the bow to balance that way. Now let's just see what it does here when it's a little front heavy. Do you see that, Larry?
Yeah.
It wants to come down and bottom out on the tool.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I like a little bit of tip down in my initial setup, but that's a little bit too much.
Yes, that is a little bit too
Okay.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now what we need to do is we just need to add some to the back here.
Okay.
So I got a couple extra weights out here to see what we need. So let's just add an ounce to it.
Just
And
small one.
yes, let's just put one of those on and add an ounce of weight
Yeah,
to
I think maybe an ounce is going to do it.
it and see what that does. Put that on there. It's probably going to take a little bit more than that because I could feel that as fast as the bow wanted to drop down
All right.
in the balancer that it felt that way.
And we do have some mathematics here. The weight times the distance
Correct.
should be close to weight times distance on this side. We got
Correct.
really long bar on this side.
Yes, we do have a really long bar on that side. But that still wants to go
that's-
down. Now, you
yeah.
can see how fast this wants to go. This tool is very, very sensitive. That's going to take a little more back weight to bring that back.
Yeah,
So
that's
let's-
still too much tipped down to suit me.
Yes, so let's just take that 1 ounce off, and we'll put another 3 ounce weight on. That's going to give us approximately 10 ounces of weight in the back now. So let's put those on there and see what happens with it now. Let's bring it back here and see. We're getting somewhere. Now, you see that?
Okay, so that's going to balance there. Yeah, this is pretty much what I like to start with, a little tip down.
Correct.
Because at full draw, I'm going to be pressuring the bow handle below center and drawing the string above center.
Correct.
And so when the bow is working, I have to compensate for that with a little
Yes.
extra on the front.
You know, we've always said the perfect arrow would, or the perfect bow would shoot through your hand. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, yeah, the grip would be in the center.
Yes.
The arrow would be knocked in the center of the string, and the arrow would pass through the point of pressure, which
Correct.
is a little bit painful.
Yes, and a lot of people don't understand that because that's why we need to have front weight and the bow needs to go forward.
Right. So the final amount I am going to set when I'm shooting at 60 yards.
Correct.
So that means I'll have to have some small weights to play with. What
Yes,
do you do?
we make a fine tuning weight set that is in 1/2 ounce increments, and that's what I recommend to somebody. Once we get it set up here for you, is to work in 1/2 ounce increments and work your way to
right.
where you feel that you're at. So
Okay.
now we've got the front to back where we feel comfortable with that.
Good starting
So,
point.
yes, great starting point. Now, what's really, really critical is your side-to-side balance. Okay, you've got, first of all, you've got, without any kind of counter offset bar or counterbalancing weight, you're adding your scope and your rest to that side. And if you look up the center line of the bow, you've got it, all that area machined out right there. So you've
Yeah.
had all that additional
Right.
weight to that side also.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to compensate, you have a lot to compensate for there.
I'll say.
Yes, you have a lot to compensate for there. So basically what we're going to do is we can loosen this tool up down here and we can let it, we loosen it up down here and now we'll see what it does. Now we're still
Ooh.
floating front to back, okay?
Yeah.
So what we can do is now you can see how,
Ooh, yeah. No. But we already have the right amount of weight for front to back, so how do we compensate for this unbalanced to the one side?
well, with this particular bracket that we have on here right now, we can just loosen this screw up and we can adjust that. This weight, if you watch my finger there, you can see me pushing it, that weight needs to come out so it puts more
Okay.
weight back that way.
So that will
let's-
actually move the weight of that
Correct.
sidebar further away from
I
the
will pull
handle.
this out here and I don't have the right wrench here. Thought I did. Yeah, I did. Snug that down a little bit and you can see how the bow came back. That's actually getting pretty close. You can see it
All
floating
right.
around.
So
right
where's
there.
the bubble at?
That was the bubbles. The
pretty
bubble's
close.
pretty close.
Pretty
yeah.
close.
Just by moving that out there a little bit. Let me move on the other side of this here. That's pretty darn close, Larry.
Okay.
There. Now you can see. Let's just go to just to show the viewer here. We go to a little bit more of an extreme, and we can see the bow going the opposite
Just by
direction.
rotating
I
that
only moved
offset
that
bar.
probably not even 1/4 of an inch. You know, maybe 3/16 of an inch is what I moved it
So
there.
it's important that you can micro adjust that rotation.
Yes, exactly. There you can see the bubble coming back. almost there, just a minute amount. That's where, you know, there's a lot of brackets out there that have locking teeth, and that's very, very close. There's a lot of brackets out there, Larry, that have locking teeth
Yeah,
that
seen
you
it.
can move, and when it comes to fine tuning, you just can't adjust them how you need them, because
Yeah.
even though you're only moving a 32nd of an inch back here. Out here at that distance.
Well,
you're
it's
you're
the
a
weight.
mathematician.
Yeah, it's the weight
You
times
know.
the distance you are from the handle, and we needed to move that just a
If we
very
just
small
need to
fraction.
move it, we only need to move it a 32nd out here, and you cannot do that with a locking type tooth. You need to be able to fine adjust that. But,
Wow. So that is looking really, really good.
basically, you can see it rotates on every axis.
And then
And-
returns to balance point.
Yep. Absolutely. So basically, you could say there that we tamed the beast, Larry.
Tamed the beast. So
Yeah.
now I suppose it's all up to me to aim it in the middle.
It is. Yep. it
Okay,
is.
well,
But I believe you would notice a big, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
have, Larry. You have. I can remember you calling me and telling me how excited you were.
Yeah.
To, you know,
Yeah.
when we actually balanced your bow for the first time.
oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it made a world of difference in how still it sat on the target and how still the bow was when the shot was released.
I loved your Air Trade article that said, "I wish I would have had one of these 20 years
Oh,
ago."
20 years ago, how about 30 years ago? And we're going to stop there.
Hey Todd, remember I was down last week and we balanced this new bow out I got. I have a little bit of a problem with the back bar right now. When I'm shooting, hooking up my release aid, the back bar you see wants to dig into my waist.
I see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's happening is it's inhibiting me from using proper posture. See how I'm wanting to slump forward and my bow arm is away from my rib cage.
Yeah, and you're not relaxing.
Right. I want
Yeah.
to be able to relax my arm next to my rib cage and be able to keep my upright posture. And this is inhibiting me from doing that. Is there any way we can correct that? Maybe a shorter bar or something that we can
You
get
know,
it that I can relax a little bit
you
better.
know, Josh, I didn't notice that when we worked on it that night, but you know that is a problem that you see a lot in a lot of shooters out there that I don't
Right.
believe that they realize that because of their not knowing their proper form and everything that
Correct.
they're supposed to be shooting. But I think that would be a wise choice that we should just try, and since you like to shoot this style of setup there, that we should just try and drop back 2 inches with the shorter bar.
On the back bar.
On the back bar there. We'll put the same weight on it and see what the weight does in the balancer then.
Okay.
And we'll put that on. You want to try that?
Sure.
Okay, great. Put it in the vise. Let's take the weights off of there. Take the bar off. Now, let's put that 8-inch bar on there. Now, we'll put the clamping device on for the balancer. Okay. Now, let's take this over here to the balancer and see what that's going to tell us. We'll put your weights on the back. Put your head on there. Now we're going to put the bow into the balancer, into the pocket there. Line it up. Now we're going to put the weights back on the back here that Josh had on originally. And we're going to see what this tells it, what it wants to do here. So let's see what we have here on our front to back. Looks like that remained fairly close,
Yeah,
Josh.
That looks pretty good there.
That looks pretty good as far as front to back goes. Let's see what it does when we open it up here for left to right. Okay. So basically what we have there is it is buried over to that side. We can see that our bubble's not level here. So what we're going to do, what I think we should do is we need to take a little weight off of this side.
All right.
And then we'll be able to see where we are still front to back. And I believe that that'll help bring this back into.
Now, do you want to, you're going to go with a 1 ounce weight, I take it?
What we're going to do is we're going to take one of these 3 ounces
Okay.
off here. And we'll put a 1 ounce on.
Okay.
And we'll
Now,
see.
do you want to keep, when you change the weight like that, do you want to keep it towards the front or towards the rear?
Well, I think what we'll do is we'll keep it towards the front. That way more of the mass weight is back
Okay.
to the back. If
Right.
we would put that in the back here, we would move more mass weight to the front.
Correct.
We basically what we want to do is we still want to keep the mass weight to the rear.
For our front and back.
I think that'll pretty much keep our front to back in balance.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're just lightening the front up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you can see that made it tilt a little bit more front, which this tool is so sensitive about, look how slow that's going front. If we added a 1/2 ounce onto the front, it would go the whole way down. So that is still good. I would recommend you taking it and shooting like that. But look what it did to your bubble. Okay, Josh, you can see now that just by changing that weight back there, even forward, got that almost dead center in the bubble.
Right.
So now let's take it out of there and take the clamping mechanism off, and let's see what you think, if it helped.
Help correct my form
Correct.
issue.
Oh my gosh, that looks better already.
Yeah.
Does it
That's-
feel better? Your arm looks a lot
Yeah,
more relaxed,
more
and
relaxed.
your posture is a lot more.
Yeah, that
A lot more
that
straighter
feels a
and
lot
better.
Yes.
Yeah, pick it up and hold it out there once a little bit, and just see. You feel all right?
Oh yeah, that's a lot
Feels
better.
okay
I'm
there
not
yet?
slumped over, which is inhibiting
Yeah.
my breathing. I have tension in my arms trying to hold the bow. Boy, that's a lot better. Thank you.
Good, great.